Hey everybody, it has been a very long time since I put out a video, and there's a few reasons for that, and I'm actually going to go over that today. As you can see, my mic needs a little dusting off. It's like a hair there. Um, and I wrote some ideas down. September 4 is the date on this document that I'm going to sort of bullet point my ideas from today. But it's the 13th of September now, so a lot of things have changed even since then. And I felt like, it was probably about time to chime in about where I've been and what I've been doing. So here goes. The past month has been really, really crazy. And I would say that's more like the past almost 2 months now. Um, I was finding time for Destiny, the game itself, but I wasn't really finding a lot of time for writing. And now, about a month ago, I really feel like I haven't found time for either really until a couple weeks ago I went to my local Destiny night, but that was since then I haven't been back. It's been some time. Um, and a lot has changed in my life, and nothing's really slowed down. And this has always been an ongoing problem with me. I get really busy. I take on a lot of projects. That this is one of them, and it just becomes difficult to sort of manage my time. And I'm going to share what I mean by all that. As you probably know, I run a gaming community of close to 200 players, and I'm a very massive Fallout fan as well. And Fallout 76 is something that I'm definitely going to play, and it's absolutely going to wreck my already very packed schedule, and that means that things have to be sacrificed. In addition to that, I had a major or a minor surgery about a month ago, depending on how you look at it, and my recovery time has been pretty rough, and there was some post-op infection stuff that wasn't really expected, and that had me off my feet for about 10 days or so. The medication was making me feel horrible. Horrible. It was antibiotic after antibiotic. It was a mix of tired and feeling nauseated, and basically that entire time, and going to work was really, really rough when I was able to. So I blew a lot of time off doing that. I required a lot of rest, and I probably didn't get as much as I could have. And I went back to work 5 days after the surgery, and that really wasn't enough time. But that was supposedly typical recovery time for that surgery. Just it wasn't for me, I guess. Um, so all that time spent in bed also meant that things had to be sacrificed, and basically everything in my life kind of came to a grinding halt when all you can do is lay in bed all day, or watch Netflix on your couch, if you can even get to the couch. Um, and of the things that were sacrificed, Destiny was one of those things, and content creation was before even that, because I couldn't get to my PC and sit upright for a while. So I felt like, let me make a video now for the first time in like over a month, for that one simple reason. And the end result of all of it is that I'm actually going to retire from content creation. I think I already alluded to this once, not too long ago. And I want you to know that I don't want to do that. I enjoy it now. I've definitely enjoyed it a lot more, even just 2 months ago, when I was really like still doing it, and I had a lot of plans for stuff. But it just right now doesn't seem to fit into my schedule. Even now, I have a game in 40 minutes, and I'm supposed to eat dinner in 10, and I'm like, this is my schedule. When you have a 2-hour commute both ways, and you get home so late, and I had to go vote today, and there's just too much going on. I'm going to go back to a thought. I don't know who they is, but they say that if you want something bad enough, you will work for it, you make time for it, you acquire it, you love it, whatever. And I haven't really extended that passion to content creation, and what that tells me is that I haven't wanted it bad enough or cared enough. And there's been factors that have contributed to that, and I'll sort of spell those out as much as I guess I care to. First and foremost, I didn't think that my content was particularly any better than what some of the other content creators were out there doing, and that's a credit to them. There's a lot of teamed content creation out there, 2, 3 man, 4 man teams, and that's awesome. And a lot of game testing groups that are forming out of that, Arrowbrook, and obviously the Hyperloop, stuff like that, and that's great. That's really a great way to go about things. Um, but I ran solo, and I kind of feel like it took too many hours for my own personal payoff, and that was all I really got out of it at the end of the day. If I can be perfectly honest, there was really barely any money involved or anything like that. And I sort of touted myself early on as someone who wasn't going to do a paywall, anything. So I knew my content had to be worthwhile to even hit ad revenue targets or any of that bullshit anyway. But that didn't motivate me to do any of this because I don't need money from content creation. Would it be nice? Sure, but do I need it? No. I did this because I like doing it, and I do things that I like. And when I stop liking them or having time for them, I stop doing them. And that's just what it comes down to. So I reassessed the portion of time that I was dedicating to content creation, and I found that it was, it was very wanting. It needed more time to do the things that were really interesting. I made a lot of plans for channel expansion, even this, silly summertime spoof series. I got myself really riled up for something that I was trying to convince myself I really, really wanted. And then weighing that against sort of how far I was ever going to be willing to take it. And I took it to 400 subscribers on YouTube, and I feel like that's a pretty good start for someone who's dabbled in streaming here and there, but isn't looking to make a career out of it. And a very small CCG, right? Relatively. I mean, don't kid yourself. Destiny is a small CCG, even if it is one of the top 5 most popular or whatever. It's very small compared to the biggest one. It's like comparing World of Warcraft to every other MMO. Final Fantasy 14 is popular, but it's not never hit WoW numbers, and it probably never will. And as far as money went, because whatever, I got like maybe $15 in Patreon one month, and maybe like $10, and since then it's been like 5 or less, and it's whatever. It pays a parking day. it's cool. And I do appreciate all of that. The amount doesn't matter. It's the idea that like you guys like me enough to actually send me money. That to me has always been strange. I have a friend who I think is hilarious, and he's done a lot of streaming. He's an excellent gamer. He's a Dark Souls, Bloodborne level type player. No hit runs, that kind of stuff. And he's done some videos, and I've always tried to push him into content creation and tell him like, dude, this people would watch you. Like they'd be so compelled to watch what you do because you're not only good at the game, you're funny when you die, and there's just a lot there that you could make videos from. And he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to be tethered to the idea that he will be like owned by people who pay him money. And I was like, oh, I get that, because I feel like if he got going, he could probably make a couple $100s a month, just side money, but he would feel obligated. And that's something that I never wanted in content creation, and he doesn't want. And I get that more now that I've gone through this. And I don't suggest it to him as much anymore. Now, I do feel like I had to weigh my time against the 400 subscriber and the sort of $10 average Patreon money hallmark to decide whether or not I was going to continue to do all this in the end. And I decided that my time was actually more important. And it's been kind of nice to have some time to myself on Sundays. That was the day I was kind of pumping out videos. Sometimes I was even doing 2 videos and just not releasing it for 3 days. And I like the time on Sundays, even if it's just to sleep in or hang out with my wife another hour or 2 before she goes to D&D. And that became really important to me over the past month, 2 months really, while I was recovering and finally out of that class that I ended in June for me. And I feel like that I want more of that. I need a day off, and I don't give myself a day off because I take on too many projects at once, and that's how I've always been. And I guess I'm never going to stop that, but I have to put a firm stop to something somewhere. And looking back on content creation, I would say I have some regrets too. I wish I had expanded the channel earlier, that I was more aggressive with that. I also wish I had worked harder to find a partner to integrate some of the other Star Wars games into the channel. I always had this idea that I'd expand it to cover Legion and Armada, and it began with X-Wing at some point too. But I didn't care enough to work hard at that. And that's what, you do some introspection and you say, if you didn't want it bad enough, then that's it. Then stop doing it. More than anything, I know I needed a partner, and I said that a little bit in the past. There was times where I was resistant to it, but for the most part, if someone had ever approached me and said, "Hey, you know what? I like your stuff. I do stuff like you. I want to offer something different to your channel," I would have seriously considered it. Because it became hard to come up with topics or express my opinion at times without sort of knowing that how that might be received. Having a partner to bounce things off of is really good too. And I wanted to also have a partner to start a podcast with someone. If you remember, that was actually in the plans too. I think I broke the news on the Ira Bell Destiny Discord briefly. I had a logo and everything, but it just didn't come to fruition. I also would have really liked someone to do gameplay or really anything that takes two people. But I got kind of stuck in my approach, which was a very lengthy process, and I don't think I did anything ordinarily special or anything like that. I just tried to be a little bit out of the box. And what you recognize as you go through this and you look at things like views and average viewer time and things of that nature that you may or may not care about, but ultimately they are what gets you to the targets. If you're shooting for targets to do this as a career, you start to say to yourself, well, I could do the things that everyone else is doing, or I could do something that's sort of offbeat. And I liked offbeat, but you also had to do spoiler videos and you had to do gameplay videos, and I hate spoiler videos. I was really excited to get spoilers from FFG. The times that I got them, super excited to be in that crew that FFG's like, hey, this is the dude we send spoilers to. Even if it's just like whatever they send to everybody, you get that little feeling of, I get to see something that the world hasn't seen before everyone else in my mailbox, even if it's for like 5 hours whenever you release it. And that's a little exciting. It's a little ego boost. It's whatever, but that has never done anything for me at all. It was cool to get them, but it didn't really matter. And if I happen to get a round of spoilers just because I'm still on the list between now and across the galaxy, I will be giving them to another content creator to absolutely put on display for you guys. I won't hold on to stuff like that. And I won't release them myself. I'll let someone else get credit for that. I'll just say you can give me credit or not. I don't care. But here they are. And it might be Ira Bell Destiny. So chances are it will be. But the DBG guys and me, we still talk sometimes. So maybe I'll split them up or something like that. But like I said, I hated spoiler videos, but they were some of the highest viewed videos on my channels. In fact, they were. I hated card reviews. I hated going through cards individually and talking about them in a vacuum. And I said that a lot on my videos. I don't remember this talking about this in a vacuum and stuff like that. But those card reviews, the second highest views on my channel. And the thing is, people love controversial shit. They love opinions. And I love educational shit. And that's what I wanted my real videos to be about. When I did the Mulligan video, which, I know Bobby Sapphire said is like the best video I ever made. That's a good compliment. It was more about figuring out the math really and just laying out the presentation. It wasn't that difficult, but that video took 9-10 hours to create, and it takes you a half an hour to watch, but it took a long time to do everything, from setting up OBS and just laying it out and doing the math and coming up with charts and doing the recording and then posting it. Hell, recording is the shortest thing because the segments are 10 segments of 3 minutes, and then the encoding takes longer, the post takes longer, uploading it to YouTube, waiting for it to all that shit takes way longer than actually making a video. And again, that was the thing I had to weigh against. Like, is this worth my time? Like, this is crazy amounts of stuff that I do for just personal feelings. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about subs. But sadly enough, not enough of a crowd cared about educational stuff about that to come to my channel for it, or perhaps it was just offered somewhere else and maybe higher quality, or was consumed as a means of justifying a paywall from another content creator. It's hard to know exactly how people feel or think, and you don't want to generalize. I'm not about that. I'm a therapist. I don't generalize with people. And I feel like you can never really know anyone completely. You can never know your audience completely. Perhaps I'm just not likable enough. That crossed my mind too. Maybe my content wasn't good enough. Maybe somewhere in between, maybe a bit of both. Who knows? Stuff is, quite frankly, that it's not important to me anymore anyway. I think I got into one or two little Reddit arguments that I look back and I'm like, why bother? Like, it's so stupid. And none of it really matters in the grand scheme of things. It's not something people talk about anymore. It happens. It's flash in a pan. You move forward. Most people are going to watch this video and say, all right, Rebel Gray, you could have just told us in 3 minutes that you're retiring from content creation and shut the fuck up. That would have been fine. But that's not what this series of videos has ever been about. So I'm going to do it my way and keep doing it my way. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. That's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. So I think that's pretty much most of the things on my mind over the past couple of months. I've thought about just kind of quitting Destiny altogether. I didn't go to my local yesterday or last week Wednesday either. Um, I don't know how I feel about it right now. That Wednesday night is also like another thing of time for me. And I think to myself, I don't know if I want to, continue to do it or not. But definitely have to retire from content creation. I'll close on the Patreon and I'll put some messages up on the Facebook and all that stuff when the video goes live. Um, but before I go, finally, I want to say that I am really thankful for those of you who supported me with your kind words, your money, various avenues of encouragement. And I do, in fact, wish you, the viewer, and the Star Wars Destiny community all the best, whether you continue to play or quit or whatever. Now, feel free to reach out to me at my gaming community at impact-gaming.us at any time. I am the community manager there. I also run Tabletop Simulator Group, which does not do Destiny. Okay, it actually uses Tabletop Simulator for what it was intended to be used for, which is board and card games that are not CCGs. So really, just thank you. This is Rebel Gray, signing off.